All right, let's do number 4. Looks like a tough one. They tell me what g of n is. It's defined in terms of f. And then they tell me what f is. They want me to figure out what a is, a of m and b of m, which are defined in terms of g. And I'm looking at it and a little confused at this point. I'm going to go to the whiteboard and try to write things down for you. So the first thing to write down is just what the function is. All right, let's write this over here. And g of n is equal to f of n plus 1. And the bottom is 2 minus. And then it's f of 0 plus f of 1 plus yada, yada, yada. And it goes all the way up to f of n. Then they tell me what what f is. And they take f of x, by the way. F of x is equal to x over 2 to the x power. And I'm writing without negative powers. So now I can write down g of n. And let's see what happens. And I bet something nice is going to happen over here. So I'm going to say the top would be n plus 1 over 2n plus 1. What's the bottom going to be? 2 minus, well, f of 0 is 0. F of 1 is going to be 1 over 2. F of 2 would be 2 over 2 squared. F of 3 would be 3 over 2 cubed, plus yada, yada, yada. Looks sort of familiar. The last term would be n over 2 to the n. All right? So I got something. And the question is, what do you have over here? And I have something that I need to figure out. And it looks familiar to me. And I want to put I need to figure out. I need to figure out this sum. And it looks really familiar to me. By the way, I'm not too worried about the 0. But I'm going to write it down as an Sn. I don't know what the sum is. And Sn. I'm not going to write the 0 down, by the way. I'll just say it's 1/2 plus 2 over 2 squared plus 3 over 2 cubed plus yada, yada, yada plus n over 2 to the n. And then what I do is we multiply that by 2 because I see a pattern to it. The pattern's 2. And that would give you 1 plus 2 over 2 plus 3 over 2 squared plus yada, yada, yada. In the end, you get n over 2. That would be n minus 1 now. Again, I multiplied every term by 2, basically just to cancel off one of the factors on the bottom. All right? And then what I'm going to do over here, it just looks kind of crazy looking, but I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to do 2Sn minus Sn, and that would give me Sn. Now, I want to know what Sn is, by the way. And looking at it, I'm kind of looking at it. I'm noticing that it looks like there's some matchings over here. So, for example, you know, I'm doing the subtraction in this kind of direction over here. All right? And I notice a lot of things are going to, you know, I'm not going to say cancel off, but get simpler. I want to write that down for you. So you'd get 1 plus, well, 2/2 minus 1/2 is 1/2. And then I'd get, you know, 3 over 2 squared minus 2 over 2 squared, which is 1 over 2 squared. And then hope you realize the next one would be, although not written down, would be 1 over 2 cubed plus yada, yada, yada. And I'm on this guy, the last guy, and this would be n minus 1 over 2 to the n minus 1. And if you did that subtraction, you get n minus n plus 1, so it would be 1 over 2 n minus 1. And then what do you get? Well, you got this minus n over 2n, and that's the last term over here. That's where I'm getting that guy. All right, then I'm looking at this guy over here, and I'm wondering, what does that sum produce? And I kind of recognize it. So I'm going to say Sn. I'm going to call this thing An. I want to go through what An is, though. And that's always, someone says, I know what it is, and you don't go through the derivation, but I'm going to write this down over An would be 1 plus 1/2 plus 1 over, you know what, I'm not going to call it An, I'm just going to call it A. Although it's a function of n, I'm just going to call it A. And it's going to be 1 over, let's see, 1/2. And the last term would be 1 over 2 to the n minus 1. I'm going to do the same thing, 2a. You get 2 plus, this would be 1 over 1 plus 1 over 2. I'm multiplying by 2, by the way. 1 over 2 squared plus, let's do the last term. And if you multiply that by 2, again, I'll put on what I mean. This is 2 over 2n minus 1. That'd be 2n minus 2. Let me get my eraser out. Erase this over here. I don't need that anymore. And I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm kind of doing a subtraction over here. All right? So I'm looking at what the subtraction would be, and I'm going to go in this direction over here, because it looks like things are really going to cancel off beautifully. All right? So I'm looking at this subtraction over here. That's all I'm doing. So let's put that down. And again, we're trying to figure out what A is. So 2A minus an A is just A. And what would you get? Well, you get 2, and then you get an awful lot of cancellations, by the way. I hope you realize you get a tremendous number of cancellations, which is good. So you get 2, all right, that's not so bad, minus 1 over 2n minus 1. All right? That's not so bad. So let's write this down. Sn now. I just figured out A, by the way. All right? What's it going to be? 2 minus 1 over 2 to the n minus 1. And by the way, we just figured this out over here. But I still have this guy left over. What's going to be minus n over 2 to the n. All right? Wow. Really a wow. So let's get a common denominator there. And that's going to be, let's see, 2 to the n. And let's see if we can do that over here. Well, the first term's going to be 2 to the n plus 1 now. Minus, well, I got multiplied top and bottom by 2 on that one, 2, and then plus n. All right, looks crazy, right? Now, someone can say, I don't even know why you did that. I did that to get Sn, but then the question comes is, I didn't really just want Sn though, I wanted g of n. Let's go back and see what g of n was. Oh, n plus 1 over 2n plus 1. And then the bottom was, wow, it's 2 minus that sum we just figured out. All right, the sum we just figured out. Right, we just figured that Sn. Let me go back over here. And let me point out what I mean by that. We just figured this thing out over here. So 2 minus that Sn, right? What's Sn? Let's write that down. 2 to the n plus 1 minus 2 plus n, and then that's 2 to the n. Wow. What do you do now? Well, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by, you know what, I'm just going to do the bottom first, by the way, because it looks kind of complicated, doesn't it? So you get n plus 1, 2 to the n plus 1, and in bottom, what do you get? Well, it's come down to 2 to the n. And then you get 2 to the n plus 1 minus those terms, which is 2 to the n plus 1. And then you're going to get plus 2. And then minus n. Well, crazy looking, isn't it? So I'm going to multiply top and bottom. Oh, you know what happens over here? Look at that. That just disappears. I can write that down. G to the n is equal to n plus 1 over 2 to the n plus 1. And the bottom turns out to be 2 minus n Let me see if I said that right. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake over here. Let me just make sure. Again, I'm glad I'm looking at that. Let me write that down now. I'm just correcting as I go along, by the way. Mistakes happen. I'm correcting as I'm moving along. And what do you get on the bottom now? You get 2 to the n. Well, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2 to the n plus 1. 2 to the n plus 1. On top, you get something pretty simple. You just get n plus 1. What do you get on bottom? We get 2 plus n. And then what you get, it's 2n plus 1 over 2 to the n, which is going to be a 2. So I get something pretty simple here. G of the n turns out to be n plus 1 over, over 4 plus 2n. All right? Now someone says they didn't ask for that. I'm not saying they asked for that. What they asked for, if you went back to the original question, I got to look at my notes, by the way, they asked for a of m. And a of m is going to be g m plus 1 over g of m. Well, I can write that down now, and I'm hoping I can do it. All right? So what do you get over here? Well, on top you get m plus 2, 4 plus 2m plus 2. Well, let's do the bottom. G of m is m plus 1 over 4 plus 2m. Let's keep moving. M plus 2, and then what do you get there? 4 plus 2m plus 2 is 2m plus 6, times, I'm going to multiply by the square root of the bottom, which is 4 plus 2m, and m plus 1. I'm looking for something to do with this to reduce it, and certainly you might say, I don't think I could reduce that. I'm going to give it a try, by the way. And to give that a try, I'm looking at what to do, and I'm seeing m plus 2, and then I'm seeing 2 times m plus 2 there. On bottom, I'm seeing 2, m plus 3, and then m plus 1. Well, I see the 2's canceling, and on top I get m plus 2 squared, and on bottom I get m plus 3, m plus 1. I could put a box in that. If you want to multiply it out, you can, but I found out what that is. Now let's do the next one, and that was, I'm sorry, this was a of m. Sorry about that. Let's put down the next question, and again, I'm looking back over the question, and it says b of m. I think it says b of m. Yeah, b of m. And what's that equal to? G of m plus 1 minus g of m. Well, I got to write it down. Again, I can't remember what g is, but it's right over here. So it's going to be m plus 1. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, m plus 2. Sorry about that. Maybe I should write that down, what g of n is. N plus 1. I'm just recopying the problem, by the way, over 4 plus 2n. All right, let me get my eraser out again. And let's write this down. So you're going to get m plus 2 on top. I'm just evaluating this thing first. What do you get on bottom? 4. And then it's going to be 2 times that, which is 2m plus 2, minus g of m, which is m plus 1 over 4 plus 2m. All right, I'm going to simplify these things. I'm going to pull them together, by the way. It's m plus 2, and the bottom is 2m plus 6 minus m plus 1, 4 plus 2m. I need to get an LCD now. This is 2m plus 3 minus 2. I'm going to write this as m plus 2 now. And this is m plus 2, and this is m plus 1. Right, the LCD is 2, m plus 3, m plus 2. M plus 2 times m plus 2 minus m plus 1 times m plus 3. All right, let's do this. You get 2 m plus 3. Now, traditionally, we don't multiply the bottom out, but we do the top hoping there's going to be some simplification in the problem, by the way. No guarantee, but I still want to go through it. And what do you get there? You get m squared plus 4m plus 4 minus, I gotta be careful over here, m squared, 3 and 1 is 4m, and then 1 times 3 is 3. Let's see what we get over here. You still get a 2 on the bottom. M plus 3, m plus 2. Well, m squared minus m squared, that's gone. 4m minus 4m, that's gone. And then you get 4 minus 3, which is just 1. Final answer. Thank you.